I got
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, let it be. Hello, people. If you can hear me, guys, I hope you can, because I'm trying to check it.
Hey, Philip, it's not a ball. It's not a tilted spinning ball of water.
Yeah, hello, everybody. As you can see,
What
me
up?
and Richard chatting today. So we're supposed to do it like each and every week. So we took this promise and we accept the challenge. So we're trying to do it at least weekly. And maybe on this week we're gonna have another guest if Victor Brugge can probably connect. He made two
Yes,
chats with Andres Sirtus and Martin Litke, so
yeah,
I think he has a lot to share.
he does.
You
Yeah,
know,
I agree with you. Yes, I met him in the mud, in the in the mud flood research group.
yeah. I
So,
hope I spelled his last name correct. I think it's Bugge or Boogie or something like this. So, uh, he's not scared like a boogeyman, so I hope we enjoy the chat. Yeah. Uh,
yeah,
people told
I
me.
haven't, yeah, I haven't met him yet, but I talked to him online because me and him are like the only moderators of that whole group. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really hard to get because I'm like was trying to contact him during the month. He's always busy, so
Yeah.
pretty much a busy person. So I'm grateful he'll take some time and have a
Oh.
chat with us. Okay, so
Well,
also we had
speaking of the ball, I mean, before we really get into what we're going to talk about, I always like to tell people if you don't, if you still think you live on a ball and you're listening to this because you admire Philip or you admire what we do, but just think about it. You know, the Earth doesn't curve downwards anywhere, not at all. I mean, it's not that hard. You have to understand they can't have it both ways. They can't say we live on a ball and there's no curvature to be measured. Okay. Right.
yeah. So have you seen this? I don't know how to call it actually. They call it a controlled opposition
Yeah.
documentary, which was called Behind the Curve. Have
Behind
you
the
seen?
curve. Yes. Very controversial video right now.
Yeah, I hope I'll have some time to actually watch it. I only seen some reviews that called all the Flat Earth Society completely retarded after this
Well, it's
document.
not about the Flat Earth Society. Flat Earth Society is controlled opposition. That's by the government. They put that together so they give you half truths. And they may say, okay, yeah, the Earth's flat, but they may show you a disk in space. And real flat earthers know that the outer space is completely fake. And and they get you people who are on the fence or looking into flat earth. You go to the Flat Earth Society, and then they get you to not even look into it anymore. Because the worst thing they don't want you to do is to really look into this. They don't want you
Yeah,
to debunk flat earth. Because all the flat, where people say, well, how did flat earthers becoming? Why so many flat earthers are growing? Why haven't no corporate company? Why hasn't putting this to rest? Why haven't? Why is the movement growing so much? Why all these flat earthers? Why am I hearing about flat earth all the time? That's because they can't defend the globe. They can't even defend it. You would think that if flat earth was nonsense, some multi-billion-dollar corporation would have put a hex to it a long time ago, but that's not the case. What's happening is a lot of people are starting to use common sense and really trying to debunk flat earth. And just like me, just like a lot of people, that's how we became flat earthers or globe deniers, whatever you want to call it. If you're not into name titles, that's what happens because you find out, hey, well, okay, well, this place is not a spinning ball, and it appears like it's flat. Because that's the only thing we're saying. We're saying that it's flat and the sun and the moon are close just like it appears to be. And it's not spinning just like it appears to be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's it. It's not, but you know, but that's crazy. But spinning on a ball in outer space at ridiculous speeds when we can't feel or tell or you know, or test any of that, that's not crazy. And that's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
All that water moving around and no motion, you know what I mean, at all. And it makes you think about it, because we always talk about floods, right? And you know, our big topic is mud flood. But think about it. How can you flood? It makes more sense flooding a flat earth, right? Rather than flooding a ball. Right? Right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, why nobody wants to address the flat earth maps? You know what I mean? Like, why that if we don't have models of balls to map place out, right? How come there's no marks on the flat maps of the curvature, right? You gotta have curvature, man. You can't say we live on a big ass ball and there's no curvature. Not even on the flat maps, there's areas like, okay, don't go down there, that's the curve, or where land is actually physically going down, because it's not the case, man. And I tell people is, you know, to do your own experiments. You could easily debunk the globe. I mean, really easy. That's how easy it is. And that's how
Yep.
it is. You know, you just, it's crazy amount of
Yep.
proof.
So I wanted to share some pictures with people today. Maybe we can
Shout out to
discuss it a little bit. Let me see if I can screen share. Actually, okay. So can you see anything?
Okay.
So this is just a picture of quarry. So one person compared it to the sea bottom landscape map of Black Sea. So it looks pretty much the same, right?
Right. Oh, wow.
This is what we also saw near Cuba, Puerto Rico, and way down to Venezuela, which also has a bunch of evidence of oil sands, and the oil sands are the byproduct of undersea, underwater mining, actually. So if they mined like this and threw all this sand on the coast, that's how Venezuela got all these oil sands. Also, we had pictures of those strange forts, which have not only the star-shaped angles, right? So I'd like to share some with people. So I'll probably make a review on them later on. But as we can see, they have round angles sometimes, right?
Right.
And look a little bit different. So I was thinking about this energy shield, which could be used in those shapes, so they can be performing all these frequencies. And they also have rivers sometimes close to it. So rivers could be like a power lines or frequency, transmitters, because they didn't have wires, so they supposed to transmit it via high frequency signals, and
Absolutely.
those high frequency signals.
And you can convert energy from water too, as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we think that they supposed to collect the energy, and what if they didn't? What if they just used the energy? So you have the device that you can turn on, and you don't care how does it gets this power, collects it or not collects it. Power is everywhere, so energy is everywhere. So you just turn on your device if you're in the range of this field, because you have to be in the range, of course. If you're not in the range, can't turn on your device. That's how all those devices are useless right now, because the frequency range is off. So it's like we have all those devices. We look at them and we think it's something else. Like, I don't know. You think I think you understand what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly what you're talking about. Interesting.
So you can't turn it on right now because the
You don't know what it
frequency
is?
range is off, and you are not in this,
Right.
field, energy field. So many of those shapes look round. So round is also referring me to what Tesla did in his towers. He had all those round, I don't know, heads or whatever on the tower tops.
Right.
So they could have inside this armor, which could be made of steel or any kind of metal, like, and uh, could be producing all those frequencies also. So the building itself also is round in this case. So as we can see, it has a very thick walls, and also could be having inside metal. How do you call it? Armor and whatever, right? So it could be used for energy fields.
Right.
Another example. This is more like complex building, as you can see. So it has the same type of structure. One tower, which doesn't have the dome right now, but it could be having it. Maybe it was demolished or something.
Right.
Have the round one as we had here, right? Tower and round one, big one. So probably it has some points to convince people that it could be used as energy field generators, whatever,
Oh
right?
wow. Yeah. Could have been a
This is
shield.
how
Yeah.
they also have octagon and hexagon type of structures. This is the view from inside, from the fisheye lens, but this is from the aerial view. Also, some structure of some signal. As you can see, the small towers are also octagon, right?
Nice.
Very interesting structure.
A lot of
So,
this geometry too. That
yeah, I mean, we're looking only at the Starforts, but most of those buildings are in plain sight, and we can just think it's some crazy building, but it's not. Maybe it was a device or something, right? Let's see. I wanted to turn down a little of your mic because we see some interference. I hear some interference. Also, next one, round one, right? Probably demolished part of this here, which we don't see, and maybe some structure over here, but also looks like a wall or something which was made from the ground first. Maybe it was some technical device. I don't think it's this color actually, because as we can see here, we have red brick. Probably it was so old, so it looks like this. Another one. Very interesting shape. Also round structures on the small towers, which are set like half circle, and a huge circle in the central one. Also near the water, has some type of connection types of stuff, so could be used as an energy field. and this is a plan of it. Very interesting. They put guns and cannons. I think this is the cannons, for example, as they could have been using it. But literally, we've been measuring all those distances that don't make any sense.
Yeah, that's to misrepresent. Those cannons are there, placed at a later time. And also too, is I think that the people who took over these fortresses and this real estate, they didn't know what these Starforts were for either, and they figured that, oh, they were for fortresses or and they didn't know, and they used them, and they later put these cannons there. Because let me tell you something: if I was in a war, I wouldn't want to be on no Starfort. I mean, you could easily be surrounded,
Yep.
and that's just not a good,
Oh,
position to be.
you could easily be smoked out of there. So
Right.
you can use smoke is a huge weapon for these, starports. So just a couple of days of smoking you out, and you'll be dead.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You're getting hit from all directions. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. So I think they were used for something. Matter of fact, I'm 100% positive they were used for different things. And but yeah,
Very interesting.
look at that. It's definitely some
It's,
type of power.
it's like a hexagon,
Yeah, look at that.
but it has round
Right.
angles.
And I would
And
consider
the
that still a Starfort, right?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
similar. We just, yeah, I mean, we watching all those sharp angles. We're watching at those star-shaped angles, but we don't see this. This is why I'm showing this to people so they can understand that nothing is strange as it looks. So it's like a technical device.
yeah, it does, man. It does. And I think that we just don't know. I was thinking about that too. I was thinking about maybe a force field over top of that. I mean, just the feat in engineering, man, and just the reasoning for building those at that time. It's just you can't. I can't even fathom. You can't wrap your head around it. Most people can't. So you have to take that like these were. It could have been for something that we just can't understand.
Yeah.
You can't understand them. If we're talking about maybe a grid that displaces a power grid and they were all over, or they were connected to the power grid, or they were giving power, or giving off some type of vibrations to make the food grow bigger, to make everything bigger, or to whatever. We know they build buildings for, with a different type of acoustics to resonate frequencies and sounds. I mean, shit, what are we doing?
I mean, what I see the reason is why are they looking like this? Because maybe if you understand, if there's a lot of local tribes which could be hunting you because you look like a food for them, right? Possible food, at least they can steal from you. They can take your woman's and stuff like this. So if you're civilized, you make some type of fort with the energy field, so those people can't enter your space, like a mosquito catcher or something like this, like invisible screen of those guys just can and do all your activities underground. This is what this gravure shows, that huge undergrounds were found by those who we know as our civilization. They just, what are they doing is like, walking around those ruins, and those ruins are underground, as you can see.
Right.
And uh, they literally look very fantastic because nobody can perform something like this.
I know.
Ruins.
They call them, they have the nerve to call them too. Oh, ancient wine cellars or something like that. Like
They use them. They use them for wineries. Of
yeah,
course,
real
but
wineries. Yeah, fuck off.
those tunnels could be used as like anything. Like, we've been talking about the dolphins, how they transfer information through the water, and we can also have a acoustic wavelengths, right? That you also are not hearable but our ears, but because we have a low level of frequencies, but could be used as low frequencies or below frequencies. You DJing, yeah, we have a bunch of frequencies that we can't hear, but we can use them to transfer information, and we can use them for long distance, just like dolphins. So all those tunnels that could be found worldwide are connected to each other. So that's how people transfer immediately all the information with big amounts of information.
Yes.
And the idea of pneumatic transportation through those tunnels is also can be accepted right now, because we see some pictures in 19th century that they used some of those technologies, trying to recreate those pneumatic trains and all this stuff, pneumatic mail and all this stuff. So it was used, and so those tunnels could be used, and they could be performed in ancient times before the flood, of course.
And look how big
Before
they are, man. Look how big they are. I mean, one could argue that, bigger people, made these tunnels.
I mean, when you create such type of cities, like around cities, right? You're supposed to be understanding that it has a river or some type of channel around it. So it's like Asian, of course, but it could be used as an energy field generator. Because
Yep.
no matter how big is a city, the plunder is still in. So if you want to get the plunder, you get it. So you bring as much troops as you can, and you break in and you kill everybody. So it doesn't help actually. So, and all those pathetic medieval technologies that they show us in the museums just don't work actually. We should be making videos on that soon after we finish with Starforts or this mudflood. We should be debunking all those medieval technologies like medieval clothes, medieval weapons, medieval armories, and shields and all this.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is fake. It's all fake. It wasn't used as they told us. I've been
Correct.
trying to talk about this in one of my videos about those energy swords and all this stuff. So
The swords, right?
yeah, they lied to us, guys. Actually, they lied to us, and the amount of work that they could be doing
Yeah,
during
that's a
that
quarry. That
time.
looks like a quarry, man.
Yeah, it
That looks
shows
like
us.
a quarry.
It shows us how advanced they were at that time. We are just insects for their technologies.
Oh yeah, we'll also talk about bigger people too, man. I know a lot of people don't like thinking about that and talking about that, but we're talking about bigger people, Philip.
Bigger people, because bigger people, the traces of bigger people. We saw him in Patagonia, in Argentina, right? Where we see these maps where the big people are painted. It's like the land of giants in Argentina and Patagonia. It's in South America. Have you seen any of those maps?
I do. I do. But speaking of maps, you know what? Let me screen share real quick. Also, too, is um, Roxanne says she should be on any minute now.
Okay.
So, first of
Google
all, they
Earth.
give you the ball earth, right? They give you the ball earth, right? They want to make you so they can keep you stuck on this ball earth, okay? And they give you the space with the fake stars. I mean, the whole 9 yards. I mean, these people will do everything. But so let's say, for instance, this is correct, right? Now, I believe that all they just did is they took a flat plane and wrapped it into a ball, okay? So what if, for example, of meaning they terraform this place? Okay, if you just say for instance, if you just zoom in on here on this shelf, right? So that you see how like this looks all shoveled.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm just
You
talking
see
about.
these lines, and I think you talked about this before too. You talked about these lines, Philip. These big tracks. You know, we're talking about machinery. Wise Up talks about these big steel machines, and these steel structures that was steel. It was obviously steel, and this is all terraformed by something. I don't know, man. I don't know. But if you look, you see how like, and then it also you can tell it looks like a big ass boulder, a bulldozer just shoveled this shit up here like this. You know what I mean? Do I make sense when I say that?
Yeah, yeah. I've been talking about this. What you showing? It's all. I'm totally agreeing with this terraforming and mining underneath. So it's like they
Yeah.
make grids. They clearing up the space and making those grids to grow the underwater concrements, which contain of rare metals like aluminum and all this stuff. So it's like they can create any kind of metals because ocean collects the metals from the water, and it's going down in concrements, round ball concrements, right? And you can collect those concrement on the sea bottom. And Japan patented this technology. Actually, Japan has underwater sea concrements mining.
Are you serious? Look at this.
Yeah,
Look at this. I mean, it looks like something advanced just came over here and bulldozed the shit out of this. Like, you know, and that's why, hey, you know, what kind of reality are we actually living in? You know? So, you know, like, it seems like it's all made. Or is it Google screwing with us? You know, I have no idea. I mean, they gave us this fake Antarctica. I mean, so I mean, we know they lying about shapes of the different lands and hiding lands. I mean, so who knows? Who knows? So it could be a construct. It could be, you know, goddamn a triangle in a box. I mean, who knows? You know, with a dome over it. Okay, like this doesn't even make sense right here. You know, this is all bullshit. Also, people out there, if you're just now finding out about flat Earth, you can go right now, Google how many people circumnavigated from north to south. Google. You're only gonna find one, and that's bullshit. Totally bullshit. Got some Freemason on there. It's totally bullshit. Circumnavigate, meaning on a flight from the north all the way down and flew all the way down to the south. Okay, now we got millions of people do it from east to west, but only one person do it from north to south. That's because it's impossible to do without your plane eventually going upside down. Do you understand what I'm saying, Philip? Okay, so
yes.
if you're on a plane and you take off and you're flying all the way straight to south, which no one has ever do, eventually your plane is going to be upside down, okay? And planes don't fly upside down, okay? So that's why no one has done it, because we don't live on a ball, okay? So you can look that up yourself, okay? So that's a good find too, as well as Google all the microfilms from the late 1800s and 1900s, all the newspaper articles back, and just type in flat Earth, and you see it's not a new argument. They used to actually teach flat Earth in school.
Yeah, one pilot actually said, "Well, we don't have a adjustment to the curve, when I talked to him. But
That's
he
right.
said, what if we, so you're talking like we have been flying upside down in the southern hemisphere. And he said, I've been flying upside down for a couple of times because he was a military jet fighter. So he's flying upside down like each and every day. So, but I said, for how long you can do it? He said, well, if you don't believe in, if Earth has space and it has no gravity, then how can you explain that my blood goes down when I do fly upside down and my head is like all red and stuff like this? So I said, well, probably I don't know. So I cannot explain why he has blood in his head.
Because he's heavier than the air around him. He's heavy. His weight. He's heavy.
I mean, he's talking only about the blood. So if we have it like a closed system, but how come when you
Also in a pressurized. He's also in a pressurized vehicle too. So I don't know.
Roxanne, what do you think about this question? Roxanne joins us, as you can see.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hi. How can you explain that if the person is hanging down with his head, that he has all this blood going to his head? Right? I don't know.
So how do we? So basically, when you do a handstand, why does the blood rush to your head?
If we have no gravity.
If we have no gravity, okay. So I think that's a good question. So if you look at how our bodies are made up, the skeletal system, the circulatory system, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you look at let's see an example. So when your finger is bleeding, yeah, you're asked to raise your finger above your heart, yeah, relative to where you are. Okay, so if you are laying down and you have cut your hand, you'll be asked to raise your hand above your heart because your heart pulsates the blood around your system using the circulatory system, yeah? So if you raise your hand above your heart, yeah, you're reducing the density of the blood that's in the location you're talking about because you're basically your heart's working like a pump. So it's almost like water pressure. Are you understanding where I'm coming from? So, you know, like if you don't create enough pressure, you won't have water coming out of a hose because it's not pumped out of the hose. I'm obviously I'm not a biologist, so I'm only able to explain it, but it's difficult to convey it in the language that I'm using. Does that make sense? You know, like when you have something in your head and you're trying to convey it. So I'm only trying to convey it the best I can. But for me, the reason the blood would rush to your head is because you have now put that part of your body that wasn't designed to be above your head relative to your heart, density speaking. Do you understand? You've got more of your body more of your body is below your heart than above your heart, relative to where you are. So you could be laying on your back, yeah? But see, let me put my camera on so I can describe.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. In fact,
so even if you're lying down, like you've got less body here than you do here. So your heart doesn't have, it's not been designed to pump against the density of you this way. I don't know if I'm describing this correctly, but it's like the best way I can describe it is when you have the plumbing of your water system in your house, like the same way you have to use flow away pipes and flow in pipes, you have to angle them at a certain angle or it won't flow properly, therefore creating extra pressure. Does that make sense? So I think the saying, the blood flows to your head, I think it's quite, we're taught that, but I don't think it does flow to your head in the way that we're taught it's flowing to your head. It's pumped around our body and almost like a pipe system. I think the pipe system gets messed up when you put it out of kilt.
Calibration. You're talking about calibration.
Yeah.
So if you have not calibrated device towards your head down, you have some discomfort, but you can do it for a long time if you are used to it, like this pilot I've been talking about. He said we do it every day, but when we do it for too long, we still have some problems with the head,
Some
but
side
so
effects.
they are not allowed to do it very long. So it's like,
Right.
because and also the problem with the doctors, when they have something, you have like a sore feet and stuff like this, they tell you to put your feet up,
Yeah, above your
way
heart.
down, yeah, above your
Above
heart,
your heart. Yeah.
so you have less blood pressure there. So it's like, I mean, I think it's about calibration, of course, because still we have something that we have as a habit, or maybe we can get used to it. So as our body, as our part of our body can get used to some situation, some calibration. So this is also explained with this Atlant, which is the first, how do you call it? Which holds your head first, bone, I don't know, first bone of your spine. How do you call this part of?
At this end or the lower end?
No, first one, which holds your head, which is called Atlant. Atlant. It's a medical name for this first.
I don't know. I'm gonna put my hand up and say I don't know.
I mean, you have a spine, right? Spine is a long one, so it's like it goes from your head to your butt, right? It holds your head. So the first part of your spine, it has many different parts which are connected to each other, and each one has number. So it's like way down. So the first one is called Atlant, and each and every one of us has it screwed up, because we either screwed up it when we were born, because our head could be turned the wrong way.
You anticipate and shit, you know what I mean?
How do you call it? How do you call it, Richard?
What?
The spine stuff.
The spine? The top of your vertebrae.
Let me just.
Oh yes. You mean your spinal cord? Is that what you're talking about? Your spinal cord?
The top.
Let me just translate it. Okay, spine is the whole thing, and
you mean the vertebrae?
little parts of the spine. How do you call it?
Spinal cord.
Spinal
Is that what you're
cord
saying?
is the whole thing. It's like inside. It has spinal brain inside, so it's called like. But things that little parts.
Oh, are you talking about the
vertebra?
The vertebrae, yeah.
Yeah, we said
But
that.
that's all of it. That's all of it, isn't it? You can have the top, middle, lower vertebrae.
We have different sections of the vertebrae, right?
Vertebra atlas. It's the first one. Vertebra atlas. Which one is holding your head? It's like atlas holding the globe, symbolizing atlas holding the head, actually, not the globe. So atlas is the first vertebra. Okay, and if you have it screwed up, all your calibration, it gets screwed up. So you have like one leg can be longer a little bit. You can have like a little bit like this, but you don't see it. You won't be able to equally turn your head and stuff like this. So something is also been blocking. You'll be having pains in the neck. So unless you relax all these muscles and you put your atlas in the correct position, you might get it like a couple of times, like maybe during the year, and at least during the year you can calibrate all your body to the new position, and it's going to be working perfectly from each end, and your heart's going to be working perfectly, and you have all the best blood pressures and all this, no pains, no, just magic stuff. So a bunch of people doing this stuff. I'm thinking about doing this also. It's like a technology that Switzerland medical people did. So they did it in Switzerland, and Switzerland has a huge medical, natural, organic medicine. If you didn't know, they are world leaders in all this natural herbal medicine and all this stuff. So they do a bunch of stuff in Switzerland.
And Philip, I want to thank you for that, but I want to, since we got Roxanne in here, I want if Roxanne, if you can introduce yourself to everybody and let everybody know what kind of weekend you had this weekend and what kind of big things are coming up in the community. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So the last few days I've been making observations. I've been out sharing awareness of the fact that what we've been taught is not pertain to be true. I've been making content now for just over half a year. I've been trying to get social acceptance of the subjects, some of which you talk about as well. The fact that the globe is a lie. The fact that we shouldn't be taking mass pharma, we shouldn't be vaccinating our children, we should be paying attention to what's going on up in the sky with the geoengineering and chemtrails. We really should be just questioning in general what we've been taught. So yeah, Friday I went down to Brighton, which is in the southern part of the UK, right down on the coast, where an observation had been made a couple of times already. It's a repeated, measured observation that is ongoing, which is called peer-to-peer, that you can find on Dr. John Dee's channel. And we made another observation from Brighton to Worthing, which is just over 10 miles. Admittedly, it's not a massive amount of mileage, but if you look on the curvature calc, there are some feet that, you know, should be behind the so-called curve that's not there, the imaginary curve. So we did the observation. Friday, the conditions were far from what you'd like. We were basically, you know, dealing with a lot of refraction, which then turned into a mist, which obviously you already know the mist is going to act like a brick wall. We couldn't even see the lights of the pier. However, we did get glimmers of the laser. We did get imagery of the laser, but we didn't get a consistent, nice green circle or red circle for the laser. So we went down again on Saturday to make the same, you know, repeated observation. We could straight away see the lights for the pier. As soon as the lasers were switched on, we could see them. I went down there with Dave Marsh, who you know, Richie. He helps you with the Flat Earth News and Reports. Yes. Dave Marsh has been looking at the moon and the luminaries for years now. He's been making measured, calculated observations using metadata. He backs up all of his work. And he came down to collaborate with Dr. John Dee and the people that Dr. John Dee was down there with. And straight away he set up his camera, popped it on the tripod. Before he even clicked record, we were looking at the laser. We hadn't even communicated with the person that was operating the laser. They didn't even know we'd actually arrived in Brighton. They were just doing some preliminary testing with their laser, and we could already see it. So we knew we were onto a winner. And the course of the evening was played out over a live feed. The findings are now being put together. A teaser's been released. Richie, you've got that teaser. And the teaser is just to let the ball hugging naysayers that are purposely, I think we've all come across them. Mick West, shout out retracted to Mick West. I'll play it for you, Philip, too, as well. What she's talking about, guys, is that they did a laser test this weekend. Just about 10 miles, 2 lasers, shore to shore. No evidence of the elusive curvature, no evidence of convexity. And with the ball earth, the Pythagorean theorem, every 8 inches times the mile, when you square the distance to the mile, you're supposed to see 8 inches of curvature drop, and you don't. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go to that. That would be awesome. I'd love that.
Would that be cool? Awesome. So let's do that.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
We had a guy today that posted a video about checking Japan from the Sakhalin Island, which is like 140 kilometers, like almost 100 miles.
Wow. Wow.
I might also check on
Japan. What happened?
Over 100 miles.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got people in the military coming out saying that they're painting targets over 100 miles in the distance, and that it should be impossible if we live on a ball. Also, too, why I have it on it. Also, too, is for any baller that's listening out there, if you think this place is a spinning ball, excuse me, of water in outer space, this guy $1,000 in cash. But any individual who can provide actual objective proof that they reside on the exterior of a ball, basically, and he's got $20,000. But anyway, let's play this. Let's get this going here. Let's see. Kind of tricky. Okay, here we go. So, can you guys hear that?
No.
Can't hear that.
Mm-mm.
Well, let's see.
Hmm.
I can't hear that either. All right. I don't know why I can't hear it, but so right there, you got, you see the two lasers right there? 10 miles long. And it would be impossible if we lived on a ball and there was convexity to the surface of the Earth. Now, a lot of people, So can you tell us what's going on?
Can you see I was going to say, can you see the streak of light coming down in front of that green dot as well, reflected on the water coming towards? Like, you just put your mouse to like halfway in the picture and you can see that vertical line coming straight down from that green dot. It's coming down at 6 o'clock from the green dot on the water.
Yeah.
Apparently that's also impossible to happen on a ball as well.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. This one right here.
Can we give Sleeping Warrior a shout out? He's in the chat room. He's the guy that made the video for Dr. John. Shout out Sleeping Warrior. Thank you so much for making the video.
Shout out. Well, and that's a smart guy. You guys want to really want to find out about the ball? Go to Nathan Oakley's channel and Sleeping Warrior channel. These guys are smart and they destroy the ball on a
daily basis. On a daily basis.
And if you're a globe head and you believe in the globe and you got fundamental arguments, go in there.
It's a one-stop.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I dare you. I love it. Did I just see you? I dare you. I dare you. I love it. Brilliant. Right. It
don't matter if you're an astrophysicist, if you are a know-it-all. I mean, I just dare you. I mean, I dare you.
Brilliant. So, brilliant. So apologies for the sound, but yeah, the video is also, it's on Flat Earth News and Reports on Facebook. It's on Dr. John D's YouTube channel as well. So yeah, it's about, and obviously the full length, data and results to follow soon. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be happening in the next few days.
Yes. So I just wanted to share that with you, with everybody.
And yeah, and on Sunday, it was a speaker's corner. As I said, the last Sunday of each month, loads of people came out and a good day was had by all. A lot of constructive conversations happened. A lot less trolling going on now than was going on 6-7 months ago. It's a different place we're in. There's no major waves of silly trolls, like time wasting trolls. So yeah, all in all, 72 hours of sheer constructiveness, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, before you came in, me and Philip, we have been talking about Starforts. What are Starforts?
Now, this is something that's international. Am I right? I'm looking into this, and this is, you find Starforts everywhere that you find land that's governed. There's Starforts. Yeah.
Mostly where you have water and they used water for something probably because what I was telling Richard before it was the mining purposes, which is one of the best possible right now causes that we can describe as the mudflood cause, because it also is in every city. So if you control this mining or something, and you know where this miners were doing and operating, like those knowledge, it could be transferred through those elites. So they probably know when they were mining, what they were mining, and they could be, making some attacks on those objects, maybe technological catastrophic events could be proceeded there. So, like, if you make some chemical reaction, like Richard, remember when you were talking about some fast freezing devices, or not devices, chemical packages, right? So when you do it like this, so just imagine if you have this information, so you can easily turn the preserved mine or fracking drilling station into the explosive. So, or maybe a mud volcano. Who knows? If you have
Well,
this
exactly.
technology.
Well, what we're saying is that these things that are all over the world, and we're talking about the feed and engineering that would have to go in to make these.
Yeah. There's even one in London, Rich. You showed me one in London. You showed me one in London. Like, my primary school took me to the Tower of London. They took us to Buckingham Palace. We did the school excursions to everywhere. They didn't mention not once about the Starforts. They taught us about the Great Fire of London, the plague. They taught us about the whole normal spiel that they taught us, but no mention of the Starfort.
Well, what me and Philip was, we hypothesize is that we're thinking that these things were either some type of gas stations, power stations that were connected to a grid, and they also like reverb, like vibrations to stop. So we have evidence of these things stop in the mud, and we also has evidence of mud on the inside of the Starforts. I mean, some of them worked, some of them didn't. Also, these things were much different from what people, the survivors, the people that rehabited these, that took over this real estate. I'm not sure they even knew what these things were that they were seeing, because we were talking earlier, like if you imagine you were in a war, you don't want to be built down into some fortification. Like how they're thinking about it. You're going to be covered by, that's the worst place to be. I don't want to be surrounded, right? Most all of these things are water, right? I don't want to be in no damn sound. If people are trying to, so I think the way they sold it just doesn't make sense now with the new information that we have, that these things vibrate. Were these things magnetized? Philipp was suggesting earlier before you came on, were there plasma? We know the ancients used plasma. Were there force fields over these things, right? Were they generating fucking plasma force fields over these things? So imagine if you were, that would only make sense now if you're talking about a plasma fucking force field. So that would make sense. Okay, now, all right, I'm gonna retreat to my fortification, my Starfort. But imagine if we can fucking put up a fucking plasma force so nothing can get in. Now that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, and it only makes sense economic, because you have to follow the money, right? Follow the money. So what are they protecting? It's not a protection from a gun or something like this. So it could be a protection from all those wild animals first, stupid local people that they just look at them and they just survive in their hunting and all this stuff. So they don't want to mess with them. So they turn on this protection field and just don't get bothered, like mosquito protection, something like this. And what else? It also can be maybe energy field protection from some weapons, like anti-missile defense, or maybe anti-cannon defense, anything defense, right? So whatever, and it can heat up the place. And
mercury. We know they were using mercury back then, and the ancients were using mercury. on a level that's incomprehensible. I mean, there was steel and rebars and brick, stone, concrete structures in these fortifications. As I'm doing research, finding these things, and you're like, wow, they built these things. Some of them like in the middle of the ocean. Some of them are middle of nowhere. Like, what the hell was going on? You know, what the hell was going on? And like, oh, there's a big piece of history, a big piece of the puzzle that is just not there. And we're trying to connect the dots, but there's a really big piece of the puzzle that is just not there. And I guess we have to use our imagination to kind of, you know, get to the bottom of it. I know that sounds crazy, but
it is what it is. It is what it is.
Right now we're stuck on the Starforts, and I hope Richard will continue and actually finish his part. And I'm gonna finish my part. So it's like next one, I don't know what to explain next.
Well, probably. the next one what we were trying to do is that we're, I guess the next connecting the dots, we're all three, me and you, and all three of us is going to do a show. I don't know what it's going to be about, but it's going to be about something dope. I don't know, whatever you come up with, Philip, just let me know. But I'm right now working on the Starforts right now. It's going to be interesting. But what's up with this Flat Earth convention and this Flat Earth tour in the UK and an incident? I mean, what's going on with that?
Yeah, so from the start of August to the beginning of November, there's 2 conventions, one in the UK, Birmingham, Kidderminster. That's at the beginning of September, on the 13th of September to the 15th. And then from the 27th for 2 days, there's the Amsterdam convention. And overlapping those 2 conventions is the Global Tour, the second tour of the tours, and it's going to be going to Europe. That's going to be starting on the 29th of August. And that'll be going forth till the 13th of November, I believe. All the information for that tour will be on the website. That's globali.co.uk. The information is also going on Flat Earth 101. And yeah, the tour is going to be going through 60. Yeah, I should have had something written in front of me. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good. Beautiful. It's all good.
But yeah, it's going across Europe. It's going to places such, as Moldova, Bulgaria, Italy, Greece, Spain, Portugal, France, Germany. You name it, it's going there. And it's going to be over the course of 3 months. And this is purely to get more conversations happening so that people understand that this is socially acceptable to talk about. You're not going to be ridiculed. People are having civilized conversations about this. There are repeated, measured observations going on to prove that we're not living on what we're taught. Right. As far as I can see, that those repeated observations aren't making any insidious claims. All those observations are doing is refuting the claim that's been made, which is the fact that we're living on a spinning ball flying through space. Absolutely. So the more repeated observations that happen, as far as I'm concerned, that can only be a good thing, because that is just, proving daily that we've been lied to. We've been lied to about where we live. I think we know that for sure, that we've been lied to. I don't know if any of us can proclaim to know exactly where we live in the bigger scheme of things, which is why we're all out here trying to connect dots. So the more that we get people conversating about this and questioning what they've been taught and not just taking it as a given, because too many people have taken what they've been taught as a given, myself included. Once upon a time, I took everything as a given. I just took what I'd been taught as that's that. I became a mum. My points of view changed. I'm still growing as an individual, as a human being. I would hate to think that 6 months ago I'd still be exactly the same person and not have grown at all since that stage. I'm happy to say that I now don't hold on to certain aspects like I did 6 months ago. I was holding on to certain details like I needed answers. I'm now not so hell-bent on needing or not. I'm okay not knowing. All I need to know is what it's not right now. Once civilizations got to the point where it's been discussed, civilized, and people are now ready to find out about where they're living, then please can we all advocate for that? Because I, for one, want to know where the ish we are in the bigger scheme of things. I won't swear, but I think we've all been pretty hacked off, that we've been mugged off. Most of us have gone through a few decades of our life before we've come across the biggest lie ever told. We've realized that we've been lied to about where we live. We've realized we've been lied to about our history. We've realized we've been lied to about aspects of religion. We've realized we've been, taken away from the fact that we've been designed, that we've come from a big bang, that we come from chimpanzees, you name it, it's been put out there. We've now come across the fact that we definitely are being taught in a partisan fashion internationally. Through all of the ministries of education internationally, every country that subscribes to a ministry of education is teaching their kids in a partisan fashion, which should be made illegal. Because if you're going to teach them one model like it's fact, that's one model too much. Teach them it as a model. Stop perpetuating it as a fact. It's wrong. It's inherently wrong. And if you are going to teach them a model, you may as well teach them all or none.
Right. And
Philip,
Philip, I think this is so important that after all of this is said and done in the UK, that we're having the United States, the USA tour, and we're putting that together right now, and that's going to be big too. And a lot of people from the UK is going to come out here and join the UK tour. So that's how big this is, Philip.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody is thinking that this is some type of a psyop or something like that, so what about saying like this? They wanted us to study, to get the higher education, to get diplomas, to go to school, to visit their physics class, to visit their astronomy classes, to visit their chemistry classes. And maybe people were screwing around at school. Maybe sometimes they didn't want to learn all this stuff, right? But we grew up and we started to learn something, and they're against it too. So they just want us to learn when we were like teenagers, and that's it. So they don't want the grown-ups to learn anymore. So like grown-ups are prohibited to learn. So this is what really pisses me off. Like if you start to learn when you like wake up, and when you usually do it in the 30 years or something like this, or even more, because when you have 25 years old, you don't care actually about stuff. So I think that we wake some people up, and we actually may wake up a teenager or high school student or whatever. So because we become younger each and every year, so all this alternative stuff moves towards the high schools. So pretty much soon, each and every high school person will know all the stuff that we know. So this is what I'm trying to do, that promote this research so that people can engage. And the more younger person, the more energy will be brought to this movement, right?
I agree totally. I was pleased to see some youngsters out at the observation on Saturday. There were some youngsters there as well, so it was nice to see all different ages getting involved and wanting to find out and wanting to see for themselves. It's definitely a good thing. Youngsters getting involved. That's the next generation. The truth lies with them. They need to be stopped being lied to in the first place, like we were. It needs to stop.
Sorry, you kind of broke up a little bit. I know that you and Sleeping Warrior and a few other people was working on some type of educational thing going on over.
He's going through the motions with it just now. I don't want to speak on his behalf, just in case I misquote him, because I haven't prepared anything for this hangout. But if you haven't already subbed to his channel, watch him on Nathan's, and he'll be updating everybody as and when he goes. But yeah, he's going through the motions with the university at the moment. I think I just saw him in the chat room, just giving someone in the chat room a bit of a background of what's going on. He is at the moment, I don't know, Anthony, if you're still tuned in, if you can back up what I'm saying so I don't misquote you, but the university is trying to give you a bit of trouble in handing in the piece of work you want to hand in, which in its own right is incredibly damning for the education system, because if I got it correctly from Anthony, they're contradicting themselves. They're being very hypocritical in how they're perpetuating that to him. On one hand, they're saying that they don't have the, Anthony, if I'm right, did they say on one hand they don't have the staff to mark that? And then on the other hand, they said it wouldn't legally meet the or something. They said something very contradictive in one of the same things. So he's now going to tackle them head on. And this is just with a piece of work he's trying to hand in. And he's done the research. He's got the criteria correct and the outline correct. They don't want me to write critically about the education system. That's what he's just said. They don't want him criticizing the education system, which is basically what his piece of work is doing. And it's a university piece of work that he's doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what about the scientists tried to extend the atmosphere, which was like a big news? How did you like it, actually?
Joke, isn't it, man? It's almost when I always laugh almost when I hear.
That's obviously why the flag was waving, right? The flag was waving because it was in Earth's atmosphere. That's now we know that's why the flag moved. That's one thing that's been explained.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense.
If it's in Earth's atmosphere, though, I'm not sure. Yeah, they've dug themselves a hole there. You know, I feel that there's a lot of meme-worthy stuff ready to start happening about that.
A lot of fuckery going on. Huh? What about the cord phone?
Oh, can I just ask something very, very primitive? And chat room, if they could answer this for me, right? I'm just going to ask this as if someone that's not really involved in the constant conversation about this. They stipulated that the moon was within Earth's atmosphere. Am I right in saying that you can say, quote unquote, that Earth's atmosphere is not the vacuum of space? If the chat room could help me out with that. If we could just be specific for a second, is Earth's atmosphere within the vacuum of space, or is Earth's atmosphere on that side of the membrane that's the invisible one that we all just have to take a leap of faith and imagine is there against the vacuum of space? So that said, with the moon being in the vacuum, that means they didn't have to go into the vacuum of space. There was no need for the spacesuits or anything like that whatsoever. They wouldn't have to go into the airlock in the first place to go into it's just all a crap now, isn't it?
What they're trying to say is that all this hydrogen around us that they measured, and they can actually measure through the magical devices.
Someone just said, what vacuum, and how do we know there's a vacuum? That's a good question. How do we actually
they measured the hydrogen in the vacuum, and it has some special properties which could actually like be measured from their magical devices. And this is how they measured all this typical atmosphere that they extended. So this is like stupidest thing I ever heard, you know.
Isn't it? It's not just me thinking that, it's dumb, isn't it?
Make this shit up, man. It's just, I mean, it's like they just come with dumb shit over and over.
Yeah, and
they lost their edge, Rich. They done lost their edge. They done lost it. Talking about the moon being in our atmosphere, you know, they done lost their edge.
Yeah, last year it was like sticking the hole with the finger of this astronaut on the ISS, which was like the perfect one. And this one is probably the winner today. So
yes,
and the year before it was the space hotels that they've been talking about, the space hotels.
When he said, Roxanne said last year was the finger in the ISS, you know, that the whole debacle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The year before it was space hotels. Space hotels, you know, how can they make a space hotel if they can't even make a toilet inside the astronaut's scaphandre? So it's like, what the hell is going on? Where are they leaking there, you know?
It's a sad state, isn't it? It's a sad state, Philip. They're digging, and they're reaching now. They're reaching. They're reaching.
You know what's Roxanne? There's people that actually buying this shit though. They
But I watched a bunch of them spending their time on riding the vacuum cleaners and playing some ping pong with water. So probably spending our money the best way they can, you know.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
And what is the best? What is the best? What is the best scientific research that they gave us in last like what? Okay, 20 years. 20 years. What's the best scientific research that they gave us from the ISS?
You mean who, the Russians or
Anyone.
That's a quick way to quieten a room, isn't it? No one's gonna have nothing to. Everyone's gonna be like, okay, so maybe they gave us Teflon and Velcro. Velcro. They gave us Velcro. They definitely gave us Velcro and Teflon.
They gave us Tang.
Tang. So you're talking about a Kool-Aid type of drink, yeah? Tang.
Yeah.
Okay, so they gave us Tang, they gave us Velcro, and they gave us the Teflon that's on our saucepans. Other than that, I'm reaching.
They didn't even give us all of that. That's all nonsense. It's all bullshit. They didn't give us nothing. The answer is nothing. So if you said nothing, folks, you are right.
10 points for nothing.
I know. They proved one thing. They proved that no matter how many numerous cameras you have on board, you can't picture any fucking star.
None. You can't see. You can't even see it. I mean, it's baffling. I mean, the only thing they sent to space was our imagination. Mm-hmm. I mean, so to say it exists is true. Matter of fact, to say that, to suggest that we even live on a spinning ball in outer space is an insult to my intelligence now. It is. Yeah. I'm insulted.
Have you seen how many cameras they have on board? I mean, the photo cameras with long. It's like I've counted like 25 in American part and probably 10 or 15 in Russian part. So it's like 40 Nikon, Canons, Sony, and each and every type of every photograph. So, and no pictures still, no pictures. So it's like they're spending their time, and that's why they carry each time the new one, so they can maybe can be lucky to film actually something. So they bring in the new ones, but this doesn't help because they can't film shit, you know.
And we're still yet to see any airlock filming going from the ISS through the airlock into the vacuum. So we don't see any unedited footage. We're still yet to see some unedited footage from ground to over 50 kilometers.
I've seen some CGI,
with that, you know.
Very good CGI. Very good CGI.
Out of all we have thousands, right, of plane crashes on the books, right? How many planes do we have spinning off the globe, flying off the globe? Come on, it's got to be at least one flying off the globe. I mean, we live on a globe, right? Think about it. There's got to be at least one plane that flew off the globe into outer space. We live in outer space, right?
No, I mean, we have a better chance than some type of asteroids hits the airplane while it's flying. So it's like you fly whatever, and you have asteroid near you. You should have been filming some.
They want me to believe that not one plane has flew off the globe. None. They want me to believe that. They want me to buy that. Not one. You're trying to tell me not one. Not one.
Have you seen stars fall in the night? You should have been seeing them while you flying your airplane. You know, you have a private jet, right?
Private jet? No, I got rid of it.
Donald Trump used to have it one. So he told that Earth is flat. You know that joke when he was elected. I have a private jet, and I know it's flat.
Yeah, I know it's flat. He did say that.
Yeah, I've been laughing at it.
All that flat talk. He had to stop all that flat shit as soon as he got in power.
I tell you, how many people have private jets? They have all those iPhones inside, and they haven't seen anything like a falling thing.
Yeah, come on. Let's be honest. Deep down inside, everybody knows it's fucking flat. All right? Deep down inside, it's flat. Okay? You haven't seen buildings that's built on the inside of the goddamn house. You haven't seen roadways that say beware of the curvature. You haven't seen that. You know it's flat. All right. You just don't understand how come they just lie to you. All right. That how come everybody's lying to you? You can't connect those dots. Okay. You see the sun, it's not 93 million miles away, okay? You can't see anything that's fucking 93 million miles away. You stupid fucking idiot. Yes, I was a stupid idiot too. I was a stupid fucking idiot. Excuse my French.
Yeah, we all were. We all were. I was there once. Once upon a time, I was holding my globe comfortably, like rocking it back and forth, and I was scared about a space and gravity failing us in case we all floated off into. You know what? I sound like someone who's not well saying stuff like that. When I hear myself say, and we thought people could just float off Earth because the gravity existed, and we were just. If you start saying it out loud, you sound like someone who's a lunatic. Right. We're just spinning through outer space, which is just infinitely expanding. We don't know what, and these planets just happen to spiral this thing, and we don't see them the way we should see them, but we just take their word for it. Do you know how many times you have to take a leap of faith and take their word for it every time you try and regurgitate what you're taught to believe? Because that's what you're taught to believe. You're not taught to know. You're taught to believe, not know.
Yeah, you're right.
Once upon a time, I thought all the stuff that I was taught, I knew. Like I knew it. Like I know that, so that's why that's that. And you don't. You just know what you're taught.
Right.
And even now, I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to the mainstream fake news narrative, because you know they like to mix the truth with the lies however they want. But in the last 7 days, if you live in the UK and on your peripheral, you've been listening to the mainstream news, the British Brainwashing Corporation, the BBC as some other people call it, they put out a news story this week that it looks like the education system in the UK are going to debate whether they want to scrap the GCSE system altogether because they've lost faith in the education system. There are some education ministers. There are some education ministers and some high-ranking education officials that have gone on record to say that they've lost faith in the education system, that they're no longer teaching kids. They're just giving them information to regurgitate. And I quote, that was what an ex-English teacher who was on the news said, we're no longer teaching them, useful things. We're just
that's because they can't globe anymore.
Their quote is that they want to go for a more holistic approach to education.
I bet. Philip, what's going on, man? What are we looking at, buddy?
This is Detroit, 38-story tower.
I see some Tartarian shit, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to show this picture. Actually, guy, like he was rebuilding his floor. It's a one-story building, as he was thinking. When he ripped off his floor, he saw this window
sub-level
underneath, and also I can see the arch over here. You see the arch?
Yes, it's sub-level. Yeah, that's a mudflare. Absolutely.
He thought it was a one-story building, but it's actually not. This is how it looks from. So it was just a one-story building. So we have so many of them, and just each and every one needs.
There's no evidence. Oh, they built that way. Shut up. That building is sub-level. It's underground. They didn't build something.
It doesn't even have the bird windows, so you don't even see them. So, because they all on the ground, on the ground. So probably it's very interesting. So as what people see here, also we see they made all those ugly stairs. Yeah, and this is right now it has like 8-star shaped octagon side, but it's a Jewish synagogue in Tennessee. It was demolished in 1950s. So
well, it probably was turned into a Jewish synagogue. You see, that's where the cymatic pattern was.
Who knows? It's like 1879, the year of construction. But as you can see, it could be using the previous construction and upgrading it to a synagogue or whatever. So
Philip, man, what kind of place was this place? Where everything was built in the 1800s. I mean, everything was invented in the 1800s. It was building. What kind of money did they have in the 1800s? Wow, just unbelievable.
I mean, this is the beginning of 1900s, and they still had technology to move the houses, the entire houses, while people living in houses. So it's like very interesting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we know they did that too as well. Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
they did.
So
Not it's like everyone, not on a large scale, but they have.
yeah.
That video, I don't know if did you see that, Roxanne? Was that
When was that?
Can you see us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry. When was that?
we're gonna put it out last week. Do you want to see that, or do you have that handy right now, Philip, or what?
What are you talking about?
About that faking Egypt?
That would be awesome.
The problem is that the people trying to step me in a situation when they try to say, look at the Wikipedia, it says, let's say, well, you think you only one who can Google or watch the Wikipedia. So it's like, I mean, this is not an excuse for me. And like they're saying, it's a well-known case. We know about since 60s. We were young. That I know it's a media case, of course, but it's a laundry for their faking stuff. They laundering it, like laundering the money, and they laundering the fake artifacts and fake history.
All over the place, Philip. They found pyramids all over the world. And they found Egyptian writing in the UK. They find this. I mean, there's a lot of evidence that it could have been that the whole Egyptian thing was probably made up or blew out of proportion.
I mean, the problem is that we have some pictures of those guys trying to move the monuments from one place to another place, so-called saving those artifacts from the flooding of the place, because they made a huge dam there, and so they're trying to save those monuments. But actually what we see is somebody cutting the rock, loading to the trucks, moving this, and then putting it in a new place. So, and we don't see actually the details, the backs of each and every block that they moved. And we see some rebars sticking out. So what are those rebars? If we right now go there and see those rebars, they're gonna say that it was reconstructed back then when they moved it. So this is the laundry of faking history. So it's like you cannot say what was before because we don't have the pictures of the inside of each and every block, and they can say whatever right now because they say we cut the blocks and we move them and we use some rebars to fix it all around so it could be more solid and stuff like this. So this is the laundry of the money, the laundry of the history or whatever. So we see the artifacts when we have two Sphinx near the pyramids, and right now we see only one, right? What is these supposed to mean? We see somebody is excavating, somebody is picturing Sphinx with only head sticking from the sand, but when we see the pictures, we don't see any sand. So we see only rocks. It's like huge rocks, huge stones, no sand at all.
So what do you think is accounting for that differential between one from the other? What would your best guess be on
I think
how human intervention or?
It's like two-step operation. They send somebody who is like not a professional, not
like a cowboy,
not
like a cowboy,
like a pioneer or something. So he's like a professional in surviving and hiking and all this stuff, maybe painting stuff. So that's it. So he finds the artifact, he paints it like the original view. He's like walking back home and showing to people, look, I found this. and I painted it. Look at it, how it looks. It's very ancient. It's very, we can find some treasures, but of course there's no treasures. He walked all around and he didn't see any treasures. But he says, I'll collect some expedition and collect some money. I'll write a book and I'll be the first. But there's more smart guys there, and they say like, here's your paycheck. Get the hell on. We go there by ourselves. We're gonna restore. We're the professional archaeologists. We're the history man. So we go there, and they go there and they completely erase all the evidence, clean it up, and and then they say, oh, we don't have money to restore this shit. So it's like, we'll just leave it here for 100 years. And in 100 years, like, whole media starts, shining. Ayabu monuments are in danger because of some stuff. We have to save them, collect the people, collect the expedition. Let's, some kinds of guys, they will make a public relations positive picture from this situation, like they saving the monuments and stuff like this. So everybody gonna be on the news, like the time they saved the whales and stuff like this. So it's like everybody's gonna be on the news and talking about this stuff. That's why people remember this thing. But actually, we don't see what actually happened. They were laundering this artifact technology while transferring it from one place to another. And this is the point that I'm trying to explain.
Nice. You know what? I've never really looked at it like that before. I didn't really look at, history laundering like that, if you know what I mean. That's a new concept to me to even think about. But it does connect a lot of the dots and make a lot of sense, that it's almost like, it's like covering up, like the scene of a crime almost.
Yeah, referring to Syria right now, or Iraq, when they send some type of troops there, which are not controlled by the government or something like this. They call them terrorists or whatever, and they, film all this stuff that they crush and all this stuff. And we see some rebars sticking from those sculptures, This is what they do. And they ruin all the monuments, and then the new scientists come and they restore them and say, this is how it was. And
so it's like the defacing of things.
And you go after those scientists and you research and you find the rebars and you ask those, why you have the rebars? They say, we have to restore it. That's why we use the rebars. This is
and then it's like for them, it's like case shut for them. They've got their excuse. They're sticking to it.
Yeah. Or maybe it was restored before with the rebars and they are bullshitting us from the very end. So it's like, who knows?
Either way, though, it's crap.
Yeah,
someone's not being honest.
It doesn't fit either in the official paradigm or non-official paradigm. If you move the things around, you still have to have some technology that you can perform, and in a repeatable way, as like they want it to be scientific. So they show us how you can create a vase manually like this, beauty that they did in Egypt. Show us how you can create a sculpture with those fingerprints on the body and all those clothes, fancy. Well, one girl showed me a picture of a sculptor who can do this right now, but it's not that. It was roughly the same, but it's not the same because I looked in the details. It's really less technological than it was before, because the guys who did it before, they had it in from marble, and she's doing it from the stone. Stone and marble is different type of
they're two different things, right, to work with.
Either they made a marble clothing on the stone, or who knows what technology they, or maybe they did a 3D printing of sculptures, who knows, maybe they had a 3D measuring and modeling before they tried to do it.
Where we've got no first-hand information, it's up to speculation, isn't it? Like you're doing. I like.
What do you think, Richard?
Yeah,
were they 3D printing, or were they creating it like modern sculpture?
You know how I feel about that. If there was a
something's wrong today with the sound, I don't know.
Amount of people and the type of manufacturing that had to be going on. Hey, and we know they were using lasers. Hey, you know what? 3D printing? Why not? It makes sense. There's nothing new under the sun, right? So what I'm saying is, this is all a big piece of puzzle. And what I'm saying, hopefully that Roxanne can join us next week and talk about, because what I found out about the big piece of this puzzle that we was talking about last week, Philip, was about these missing gravestones. It comes to find out, well, these missing gravestones from the 1600s, I was made aware of about North America, but come to find out, there's missing gravestones, and lots of them.
Exactly. In what years are they missing?
In the UK and Russia, between 1600s, it's hard to find gravestones in the 1600s and 1700s. You find mostly they all are from the 1800s or late 1700s. And if
Tommy Rogers was talking about that as well, wasn't he? Tommy was telling us something about him.
I mean, so guys, you can understand, 1600, it's 17th century. 1700s, it's 18th century. 1800s, it's 19th century. So it's not that long ago, as you can imagine. Maybe somebody's in the chat. So it's not that long ago. It's like we're talking a period of 300 years. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about, right, exactly. So everything changed. So
not that long ago, you're right. It's not
right.
In the bigger scheme of things.
These missing people, you got all these bones in catacombs that goes for miles, and no one knows where all the goddamn people. So that's my whole thing.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Like, what is up with these etchings that were done? Etchings of like people riding around in electric scooters. Rich, do you remember I was asking you about that woman that was on that scooter? I was like, that's like an official.
He was using electricity. Yeah, they was using electricity before gas. You know, we were very technologically advanced. I think they were using all kinds of stuff that we just have no idea because it was just destroyed, either by Noah's flood or just destroyed by some type of reset. So,
greed and power. Maybe.
Yeah, well, I think they were using I think they were using pneumatic tunnels, pneumatic travel, real magnetic, real high speed travel. Think about it, you know. I think they used a lot of airships.
Yeah, I think this is the idea for the next one. So we should talk about.
Can I ask a question as well? Can I ask one question, because it's something that's been bugging me out and I haven't had an opportunity to ask one. So you know how we've had the Bronze Age and the Iron Age and all the different ages? Yeah. What's this age? Is this a digital age?
I mean, the Bronze Age cannot be before the Iron Age.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I didn't come out with them in the right order, but we've had all of these various ages before now.
You came it right, because you came it right. Like that's what they explained: stone, bronze, iron. But
and now
fact,
what?
The bronze is very hard without iron. So
what will they describe this as?
Yeah.
In the future?
This right now we have
digital age. Is this a digital age?
No,
what is this?
Right now it's post-industrial age. Post-industrial.
So we're still in post-industrial age. And what is the forecast for the next age? Is that the digital age or the augmented age? Or what? Okay, it's not real, whatever it is.
Maybe somebody in the chat can tell us what is coming up. If anyone can tell us.
You know what? Recently, this is just a bit random. I just want to tell you guys because my son plays the game, and I'm sure there's a few parents out there that have sons that play, computer games. I was one person that played computer games back in the day. They were cool, and then I woke up, and then I didn't have time for them anymore. But my son went on Fortnite, and he told me that a DJ called Marshmello played a concert in Pleasant Park to 10 million paying people. He played a concert, an augmented reality concert to 10 million people at the same time. So am I right in saying that the biggest music concert that's ever happened in history was not even a real one? It was fake. Not fake, but not real. Like no one was really in a park. No one actually played a real gig in a park. It was nowhere. So would we be right in saying that that's the future and the past all in one?
This is actually what they want from us.
Is
to move our attention towards the digital world and leave the real one for them to rub it more efficiently.
Yes. But that's why they give you this virtual reality and this video game stuff, So you just be stuck on stupid into this fake world. You know, you live on a spinning ball with this fake history, fake knowledge, fake ideas, and probably not even your own thoughts, your fake thoughts in your head.
One book that is writing about post-war, post-nuclear war stuff, and they have this idea of people being trained in a virtual reality, but actually they were put on a mask and moved into the mine, and they were working for real, but they were thinking that they were collecting some, you know, artifacts and stuff like this in virtual reality because it was very interesting for them to do. But in fact, they were
doing the real work, but they were being tricked into thinking that but it wasn't what they. It was like a double trick.
Yeah, it's like the most crappy work in uranium mines when the people just die in a couple of days, for example. But they were so inspired by what they saw. They were mining for like 2 years in the uranium mines. So it's like very interesting idea. It's like using people for serving and maintenance of this mining infrastructure, and they're inspired that they're doing something magical, maybe playing some games, but actually they are not.
Well, I think that was a great discussion. And I think that we should continue it for next week.
Yep.
We'll do another nuts. Absolutely. Coming up shortly. A lot of big things coming up. We also got Karen B. Also said that she's going to be out there in the UK soon. She's willing to help us cover the coverage. Philipp said he was willing to help us cover the coverage as well. So we got a lot of big people. I know you said you're going to be talking to Sleeper Warrior and see if he's willing to help us cover this, the coverage as well. So let's see what's going on. I see a lot of things, a lot of big things, a lot of new things. So thank you, Philipp, for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Shout out to the chat room. So I wasn't in there.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.